So again, thank you so much for being here. Even though we might not have the best springy weather today in Massachusetts, we are celebrating, as we do at this time of year, the growth of our network and the successful designation of new pathways. So that will be our focus today. We call this webinar Welcome New Designees, and it's also known as You're a Designee, Now What? We really appreciate all the great energy that new designees bring in, and we want to provide information and support for you in today's webinar. So we're going to be recording this webinar for folks who are not able to be here live today. We also have closed captioning available using Otter, and if you follow the instructions on this slide, you can turn those closed captions on in real time. We want this workshop to be accessible for everyone. So I want to mention that my colleague Allison is here and providing tech support. Feel free to message her in the chat anytime if you encounter any technical issues during our webinar. You all have been dedicated attendees at many of our events and PLCs throughout your time in the application cycle this year, so I won't talk in depth about CCE, but just repeat that we are proud to partner with DESE to support this community of practice. My name is Annie Leonard. I'm the Director of Programs at CCE, and I'm here with my colleague Allison, as I mentioned. And I want to pass to my DESE colleague, Jennifer Gwatkin, to introduce herself and other DESE folks who are here today.
Great. Thank you, Annie. Welcome, everybody. This is the moment you've been waiting for. I know that you are very curious about notification letters. Hopefully you did get an email from me yesterday saying that they are on the way and to attend this regardless. But Jennifer Gwatkin, I think that all of you know me, and my colleague Latoya Tavernier is here also. Latoya, I don't know if you want to say hello quickly.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Congratulations. For the newbies, welcome.
Thanks, Latoya. And then is this the point in time when I introduce our fearless leader?
I'm going to just say very briefly that we have this crew of peer ambassadors that I know have helped many of you out over the course of this year. And one of them, Lindsay McGinnis from Hoosick Valley High School, joins us today, along with her colleague Erica. They're going to be providing advice from the field a little bit later in the webinar. And as we're getting started, it always helps to know who else is in the room. So we invite you to put your name and role in the chat along with the newly designated pathway sector, especially if you are newly designated a first-time pathway. We would love to hear what you're most excited about up and coming in your pathways this year. So while you are doing that, I'm going to do a quick review of today's goals and agenda. Our hope today is that we will allow you to learn about systems, practices, outreach strategies that you can undertake to get ready to implement your new pathway programming in the fall of 2025. We're going to do that by inviting you to learn from peers how they have prioritized tasks in the spring and summer in preparation for launching pathway programs. And as always, we want to celebrate you as new designees and build connections in this network. We're going to do that by wrapping up our introductions momentarily and then having remarks from the Associate Commissioner for College, Career, and Technical Education at DESE, Elizabeth Bennett. We'll then hear a landscape update from Jennifer Gwatkin, followed by words of wisdom from our Hoosick Valley co-presenting team today. So with that, I'm going to pass to Jennifer to introduce Elizabeth Bennett.
Thanks, Annie. Yeah, I really jumped the gun earlier. I was just so eager to to get Liz to speak. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to our Associate Commissioner for College, Career, and Technical Education, Elizabeth Bennett.
Thank you, Jennifer. I am so excited to be here, always so excited to meet our new designees and our returning designees that have new programs. As Jennifer mentioned, our news is embargoed right now, so please don't reach out to press or anybody until you get that official letter from me, but it will be coming very soon. But that doesn't mean that you can't start digging in and learning today and moving things forward. But just keep it here until you receive that official letter from me. But doesn't stop me from congratulating you. So congratulations. When we think about innovation career pathways, it really ties in with DESE's educational vision, where all students are known and valued, and it promotes that real world, relevant, and interactive experiences that are going to prepare students for post-secondary success. It also helps to, build those authentic partnerships with students and families, as well as within communities. Very, very excited to say that with this new designation, we will be reaching 120 schools across the Commonwealth. And we anticipate about 700 additional students will enroll in these newly designated pathways, bringing our total to over 8,500 students in the school year 25-26. So really, really excited to have you be part of that fantastic group of schools that are providing this type of education for our students. Our students are asking for this. They want to make meaning of what they're learning. How does this connect to what I want to do in my future? I have one more announcement for you. Mark your calendars on Wednesday, May 7th. The Executive Office of Education is going to be hosting a STEM summit at Gillette Stadium. And part of that will be the launch of a STEM teacher externship program that you all will be able to apply for if you are interested. Again, that's Wednesday, May 7th, and Jennifer will be sure to send out some additional information about that. As I was seeing the chat come in, I saw that my hometown of Newburyport is a new designee, so I will be reaching out so I can take a walk up the street and see what you have planned for your program at Newburyport High School. Once again, I want to say congratulations. Reach out to our office. You have your liaisons if you have any questions as you are starting your program, and as your program continues to grow. We're here to support you. Continue to participate in programs like this in the community of practices, and reach out to your peer ambassadors. And I want to thank our peer ambassadors that are here today too, for all your support in helping Innovation Career Pathways grow across the Commonwealth. Thank you. Jennifer, back to you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks, Liz. And I thank you in the chat too. I think I'm going to pass it back over to Annie.
So Liz, I want to say thank you to, I think that the news of teacher externships is really going to have a big impact with this group. We are so happy to see so many classroom teachers, as well as program coordinators, guidance counselors, building and district administrators, including superintendents in the room, but also external partners, folks from higher education partners and workforce board partners, all in the room. And I know when we were here last year, the hearing that teacher externships had been something that happened in Berkshire County was something that sparked a lot of interest. So that's going to be great news. And Jennifer, now I'm going to pass back to you to tell us anything else that you'd like us to know about the growth and current impact of the network.
One of my favorite topics, seeing the growth of the program. Started out as little seedlings back in 2017, 2018 with a handful of districts, and now look at us. So some fun facts, 22 of the 36 new designees that we're we're welcoming today, we're first-time ICP applicants. Now, I'm not the best at math, but I think that's around 60%. So congratulations to those of you who survived the process. And you're going to be here next year, giving advice to your peers who are maybe going through it next year. So 269 pathways across, it's actually, I think it's 120 schools across the Commonwealth. Hey, 119, 120. We made it across the 100 mark, which we so wanted to do last year, but we were at 99. So congratulations. And like Liz was saying, well, I think that maybe I've inflated it a little bit here, but 8750 statewide, that's ballparking based on sort of what your projected enrollments are. But very, very exciting to be able to reach that many students. And then this is a breakdown by sector. So this year we're welcoming 5 additional schools to the Clean Energy Fold. We had a field trip just this last week to the Wind Technology Testing Center in Charlestown. We're looking forward to doing more of those kinds of field trips in the future for other sectors. But yeah, look at this growth. Advanced manufacturing is still number 1. Did a nice leap from 53 to 66. I think healthcare and social assistance in second place. But it really is great to see the year-over-year growth across these sectors. I think that the governor said that they want to have 25 clean energy pathways next year. Isn't that correct, Liz? I saw a big number like that. So I don't know. Maybe this group may take that challenge for those of you who are interested in clean energy to apply for another pathway next year.
Jennifer, thank you for that update, and sorry for accidentally clicking forward in the slides a little bit prematurely. But it is great to see the growth in the network across all 6 sectors. And we want to hear more about that, and specifically now move to hearing about some priority areas for these new designees to focus on. And we're going to do that both with some kind of collected wisdom from the cohorts over the years, where we've built up knowledge in the community about priority areas. And you will have noticed that Allison has shared a link to a resource guide in the chat. So the part of the webinar that we're moving into now, we will be sharing a number of resource links in the chat. And it can sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming to try and open and save all of those while you're also trying to listen and squeeze every drop of advice from our presenters. So don't worry about saving every link. We have listed the ones we know we're going to share in this resource guide. And after today's webinar, we will update that resource guide with anything new that needs to get added, perhaps some information about the EOE STEM Summit at Gillette, and make sure that gets shared back out via email with everybody who registered for today's event. So as we start to look into that advice from designee cohorts of the past, what we have done for today is separated it into 2 bulleted lists that I'm going to introduce briefly, and then I'm going to pass the microphone to Erica and Lindsay so that they can walk you through what that actually looks like in practice at Hoosick Valley. So we've divided this into a do now list, which you're currently looking at. These are the things that experienced designees encourage new designees to really be thinking about right away. So in the spring, before school closes for the summer, we encourage you to be thinking about these priority areas. So the internal team at your school or district that will be a driving force for the launch and development of your pathways, it's super important that team be inclusive of people in a variety of roles and the specific individuals who you know will be critical to a successful launch for your pathway. There are certainly the teachers of your technical and advanced courses who are included in that group. Most definitely guidance counselors for the supports that they're providing directly to students and supporting enrollment and scheduling for your pathways. And making sure that all of these folks have the training resources and support that they need is key. You also have key external partners. Again, some of them are joining us today, which is awesome. But soon, not while it's embargoed, but soon you'll be able to share your designation success with those external partners, your CCTE liaison, your Mass Hire Workforce Board contact, and any other key community or employer partners. Past designees encourage establishing a communication routine. Sometimes that takes the form of a standing meeting or an advisory board, but make it a routine that will support the prioritization and completion of tasks throughout the year. We also want to encourage mapping out the coming year now in the spring. That map will change over time, but we have an example that was shared with us by one of our other peer ambassadors, Tasha Sheffield from Athol High School. That'll be coming out for you to see in the chat. You are welcome to use that as a starting point for a planning document. Also on your mind right now should be spending down planning grant funds and planning to complete and submit your implementation grant funds application over the summer. There is information in the FAQ on our MAICP website about the basics of the planning grant and implementation grant systems, and of course the official announcements and application portal for those will be found on the DESE website. Jennifer, anything to add before I move on to some first year priorities?
No, I think that those are all very solid reminders for folks. And if you have any questions about, speaking of dollars, questions about making amendments or adjustments, please reach out as soon as possible, because we really do have to wind things down for fiscal 25.
Great. Okay. So then you may come to the point where you're ready to use some time, perhaps over the summer. There's an opportunity to do some deeper work or thinking about your goals across your first year of designation. What are the areas of focus that past designees have found really made a difference in the long run? These are a few of those areas. A lot of past designees talk about the importance of building and sharing your vision for your pathways and how that vision aligns or connects with the big picture, the big why at your school, which is often embodied in a portrait of a graduate or the school's mission. That kind of alignment is super helpful in building buy-in. So as knowledge and understanding of why you're doing pathways grows, you will be able to build a team of folks who are knowledgeable about your pathways and can serve as ambassadors to do the important outreach work inside the school and in the larger school community. That includes making it a priority to connect to the middle grades, whether they are in the same building or sending schools, so that the career readiness initiatives that are happening at the middle grades levels, MyCap and other career awareness and career exploration initiatives, are aligned and setting students up for your newly designated pathways. Past designees have mentioned that it's important to set some goals and targets for a few key metrics that you want to use to assess progress toward your goals in your first year. That doesn't mean that everything can be achieved in the first year at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I think what this message is trying to say is that it's important to set reasonable and achievable targets, knowing that it will take several years of focused continuous improvement work to reach what we might call full implementation. One part of that kind of continuous improvement work can be safe to fail pilots, which means you identify areas that you know you want to try something new or improve, and developing ways to refine and improve and take feedback from students and educators and external partners on how those pilots go. That can really help you learn about what will work best for your students and your setting. So with that, we are very pleased to turn the floor over to the Hoosick team to talk to us about the designation and implementation work that they've done there.
Hi, thank you for introducing us, Annie. Really appreciate it. And so happy to be here and so excited for all the new designees to begin their process. So I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about our designations to start. Again, my name is Lindsay McGinnis. I'm a high school science teacher here. I'm also a peer ambassador for the Mass SE program. So you might have seen my picture up earlier or seen my name or face on the website in support for everyone. Our designations, we have 2 designated pathways at Hoosick Valley High School. We have healthcare and social assistance, as well as the environmental studies, environmental science pathway. For our healthcare and social assistance pathway, that is mainly a focus for several of my other colleagues. They have a course sequence that includes a lot of Project Lead the Way through the biomedical science programming. That's typically several teachers that teach in that area. And then for our environmental science pathway, it is more of a program that has been developed by myself, actually, where the curriculum has technical courses that I've written the curriculum for, but then there's also opportunities to work with our local college here to do dual enrollment as well. Because of the importance of pathway work, our school actually has, even though we only have these 2 designated pathways, what our school decided to emphasize at our school and show kind of our identity, placing us on the map, is creating additional pathways that mimic what happens in a DESE pathway. So we used our model of what we have here at Hoosick to really focus on a lot of different career pathways that, again, aren't DESE aligned, and that's not something you could apply for, but we also include these same ideals for kids that are focused in arts and entertainment, business and entrepreneurship, education, technology, and in sports medicine and health and wellness. So, again, stressing the importance of how these pathways are set up, we wanted to make sure we could model that in other areas as well.
Hi, everybody. A quick introduction of myself, Erica Girgenti. I am the Community and Pathways Coordinator at Hoosick Valley Regional School District. I work in the middle school and the high school, and part of the work that I do in addition to the pathway work is on our college and career readiness team, development of our MyCap curriculum, and bringing some of these expectations around career readiness to our middle school. Our building in itself is designated 4th grade through 12th grade. So we actually have the opportunity to bring this exposure all the way down to our 4th grade students. I want to take you through a little bit of what you're seeing here in some of these photos. So thank you, Lindsay, for that introduction to a few of our pathways, but as well the sort of expectations we lay out for all of our paths that we offer here at Hoosick. And some of those you can see here. So the top left, I'm super excited and proud to say that we just recently graduated 9 students out of a CNA program. One thing I should mention, one of our huge supporters is MassHire. So we work very closely with MassHire. They hold our hand through every part of this process, and connect us with a lot of these great opportunities. So one of them being that CNA certification through a grant that they offered, in a partnership with Integritas Healthcare and the local nursing home. We're able to graduate 9 students who have on-the-spot employment as CNAs. So we're very excited for them. And then to the traveling from left to right, you'll see first assistant district attorney there and a state police detective, and they're first doing a little career orientation, and those folks were there with our biomedical students as they were receiving, Lindsay, correct me on the name, but it was the PLTW class, case of Anna Garcia, if anyone's familiar with that curriculum. And the students presented their findings on that case, their diagnosis of a body that they had come upon to the first assistant district attorney and a state police detective. And they had to present what they found, which was a really cool experience for them to do that with those folks. And then also just hear about their careers and their path, and how they do relate to and can relate to the medical field. We did a a CPR certification as well for our students. And then on the far right, one of our most recent proud and at times controversial certification that we did through Lindsay and our environmental pathway was a level 1 felling chainsaw certification course. So we had a lot of fun with that training, as fun as it can be to put chainsaws in students' hands. But all their parents were very eager to sign them up, to sign permission slips, checked all of our boxes with insurance waivers and permission slips, and got those students trained on how to appropriately use tools that they had quite honestly been using already in their backyards, and on part-time jobs that they may have held through the summer. So we're very excited for those students. On the bottom left, our sports medicine, health, and wellness students, we did immersion field trips for all of our 9th grade students. And last year, in part of our sports medicine, health, and wellness, we took a group of students to our local college and had them participate in sort of seeing equipment in the health and wellness industry. And that is not their personal trainer, but I'm drawing a blank, but their physical therapy, the physical therapy and sports medicine classrooms. And so the kids got to touch that equipment, see what they had to offer, learn about an athletic director and what those roles were, as all part of our college and career curriculum and in our immersion experience for our pathways for our students. Just some more students presenting work and on the case of Anna Garcia there. And then again, some of our leadership, outdoor leadership classes through our environmental science pathway. Mrs. McGinnis takes a group of students down to a local bike shop. They learn how to repair bicycles, do tune-ups on bicycles, see that equipment, see that career exposure, and then ride bicycles on the rail trail that we have locally in town, as well as a partnership that we have. It's the farm photo, a partnership we have with a local farm, and students got to do some farm work, see what that looked like. And Mrs. McGinnis also did an externship at that program and was able to provide a student later on with a paid internship, a student that was in our environmental science pathway, and through that experience learned that actually wasn't what he wanted to do, which is why we put students in these opportunities, is for them to help shape their future. And he shifted his future a little bit through that opportunity, but as a result of Mrs. McGinnis' externship, he was able to get paid to find out that this wasn't what he wanted to do. So that was a great opportunity for both of them.
So Erica and Lindsay, if I could just ask you to dig a little bit deeper on two aspects that I'm imagining folks who are newly designated might be curious about. So we're looking here at the fruits of multiple years of work and development, and that might seem a little overwhelming to folks who are brand new. Could you maybe tell us a little bit, if you know, sort of the origin story and any key points in the story from getting from, okay, let's maybe try this pathway in this one area, to becoming a multi-designee school and a school that's thinking really about pathways as almost a whole school model for learning.
Sure. Do you mind going back one slide for a second, Annie?
You got it. No, wrong direction. Is that the one you want?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for a moment. So our healthcare and social assistance pathway, again, I mentioned PLTW, and that was Project Lead the Way. That was some of the pictures that you saw in the next slide that Erica was talking about. And those are courses that are, again, taught by several of our teachers here at the high school. And it's a curriculum. It's a sequence of courses. And really, one of the messages that we're going to get to a little bit later is don't reinvent the wheel, right? These are courses that we've been teaching here since 2017. So these courses are work that the students have been doing, but to be able to take what we've been doing with those courses and now connect them to some of the career opportunities in the area that we have and the connections that we've made is really how we got to the point that you see in those pictures. So the coursework has been in place, and similarly in the environmental science sequencing, I have been teaching here at Hoosick since 2018 and developing the core sequencing, and then little by little making these connections of how to bring in the outside community into the classroom and how to get us outside of the classroom as well. So, yes, these are our 2 designations, but again, like Annie was kind of mentioning, this did not happen overnight. This has been a process in the making for us, and developing these community partners. And feel free to chime in, Erica, if I'm missing anything.
Yeah.
Or if Eric or if Annie, if that's not really hitting home to what you were thinking, let me know.
Yeah, I actually just want to share one quick thing on while we're back on the slide that I had thought about. We talked about getting buy-in, that being one of the things that you want to make sure you can do within your community. Sometimes it's not about mass and numbers, it's about finding that 1 or 2, 3 champions. Lindsay McGinnis is certainly one of our champions here at Hoosick, as well as a few others that we have behind the scenes. And, we're still trying to get buy-in from some of our teachers. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a full school, because full school buy-in, we're really still trying to do that. And one of the things that we were able to do in order to continue to get buy-in and continue to get folks really interested in understanding what this is, because a lot of our successes in our environmental pathway as well, because Lindsay is our champion. But it was creating these logos that you see on the bottom. These are 2 billboards that we have locally in our community. So our students were really excited. Our students want to, they want to see their opportunity to be on a billboard, and they're excited, and they're asking questions about how do I get that chance? Well, this is how you do it. And how do I take that really cool training? This is how you do it. And then the logos that you see on the bottom there, we actually created little stickers about this big for each one of those paths, and for every teacher in our district that in our high school that was teaching a course that would align with one of those paths, we put outside of their doorway. And it really kind of came a bit of a competition for some of the teachers who felt proud that they were teaching, like the course that they were teaching touched all these different careers. And it was added nice color to our hall. It got those logos out there, sort of that visual marketing for our students and our staff, as well as our visitors who come through Hoosick. So, we really splashed our pathways through our halls and in our community.
Erica, I'm so glad that we went back for you to tell that story, because I think in public education, we're not necessarily thinking like marketers, but you're really bringing home how the stickers helped do that inside the building. And I think a billboard is a first. I think for us, I don't know of any other pathway designee who has had a billboard. So that is incredible. I also, the second thing that I wanted to ask a follow-up question on was industry recognized credentials. And I see college credit, certifications, and internships, right? Keywords that really boil down the kinds of experiences and outcomes that matter to young people on that image. Could you say a little bit? I heard you mention CPR and CNA and chainsaw certification. Could you say a little bit about how you chose those IRCs?
Do you mind
Sure.
going back to that next picture to that in the next slide, because that has those up there. Yeah.
So for us, we really wanted to give, so we worked with our school counselor that was able to help identify certain students. You know, I'll say not every one of our students that's participated in those opportunities has been the most academic, the most, you know, the best attendance. They were really all a mix of students that came from different walks, different challenges, and different interests. And we put that out to the kids to say, you know what, I identify as somebody that wants to take a CNA certification. And our true first cohort last year was our ninth graders, currently our 10th graders. So right now our 9th and 10th graders are our ICP in Pathway students. And a lot of these opportunities were presented for certifications to our older students, our older cohorts. And it gave us an opportunity to look at those kids and say, you know what, let's sit down, let's look at what classes you've participated in. Geez, you know what, you have an opportunity to complete a pathway. And so we helped them sort of find that groove that they didn't know really existed for them, or that was going to be an opportunity for them. And it also created a little bit of competition in the graduating classes to say, which you'll see in a few future slides, I want to wear those stoles. I want to show my community and my family that I graduated from an ICP. And so we really just put it out there to kids. We have a small enough school where we can really see almost all kids face to face. Our high school has just around 300 students, a little over 300 students, 8th through 12th grade. So we were able to go into classrooms, promote this out to them. I put a strong rule out to all students that when you see an email from Mrs. Girgenti, you need to open it because it's likely a really great opportunity for you. And email, one-on-one conversations, announcements over the morning announcements, just about all of these opportunities and giving them voice and choice to sign up on their own for these opportunities. And we've had waiting lists in every one of these.
I want to add one thing too. Erica had mentioned, you know, our first cohort that we're really tracking for our ICP as our 10th graders. But some of the opportunities that you also see in these pictures are things that, again, Erica mentioned me as a champion that I kind of sought out based on the coursework that I was developing. So I teach a food system science class, and that's why I reached out to our CSA that's pictured here, Red Shirt Farm, to see how I could connect with them and get our students over there. And that's how that led to that externship as well. And then the outdoor leadership course that I teach, again, that's why I connect with our local outfitter and do some of the work with them in our community. But what I want to really emphasize for the chainsaw certification, that is not something as an environmental science teacher that I was imagining when I first started doing this pathway work. That didn't come from our 10th grade cohort that we're currently tracking. That came from a junior and senior that they're my interns and they're also in my room a lot. And it came from conversation. It was very organic and how they wanted to be wildland firefighters. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really amazing. And I never knew that about either one of them as I had them as students coming through the school. But I was like, what can we do for you to kind of, you know, keep facilitating that path, even though they're juniors and seniors? And that's how we got to the Game of Logging industry recognized credential. So it wasn't anything that was initially planned for. It kind of grew organically out of having conversations with students. And, you know, we actually talk about this later as well, a little bit more about individualizing what the students' needs are, right? Talk to your students and see what they're interested in. That
And one of
being-
our young, strong female sophomores won the Game of Logging challenge.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She was our high scorer. I think that kind of covers a lot of what Annie wanted us to emphasize. So I just want to chat a little bit about our team here at Hoosick. While Erica and I are on this call, it's not just about Erica and I kind of running the Pathways show over here. There's a lot of people here. So in our administration, on our administrative level, we have Kristen Pallett, who I believe is actually on this call somewhere. She's in there. Thank you, Kristen, for being here and supporting us. She helped us a lot through the whole application process and continues to support us. She is amazing with our grant funding that we use through Pathways, and I'm sure if any of you guys need creative ways to figure out how to use that money, Kristen is your girl. So Colleen and Regina are both our principal and our assistant principal. Again, we can't do this work without the support of your administration. So keep that in mind. If you're not an administrator on this call, loop in your administration and make sure they're getting all these details and all this information, because you really have a whole team of support that you need. Erica, again, part of our administrative district and building wide. And then Erica had mentioned our college and career readiness team. They also take an integral role in the Pathways work that we're doing currently this year. That's myself, Keith Wright, who has also been a peer ambassador in the past when he worked from Monument Mountain, and Kathy Budai, another teacher here at Hoosick Valley High School, and Michelle Vivori, who is connected with Mass Hire. She is part of our team as well. Our team didn't always look like this, and your team won't start off like this, and that's okay. We started as a really small team at the table doing the 300-page application document that we submitted, right? And then it morphed after that. The first year of our designation, I actually spearheaded a professional learning community of teachers, and there was about 10 of us. And so we had a lot of teacher input that first year. And then the year after that, we didn't do PLCs in our building anymore. It was something our administrative team moved away from, which is fine. But then we had to find another way to really emphasize Pathways if it wasn't going to be through that PLC. And that's when Erica's position started to shift as well. So knowing the need that we had for Pathways, her title shifted from a community engagement coordinator to having Pathways in her title. She is now our Pathways coordinator, our community and Pathways coordinator. And she runs our CNC team, and we meet on a regular basis, as well as, you know, random phone calls throughout the day or passes in the hallway. And they're like, hey, did you do this? What's next? Let's plan our next meeting. So this is our team. And like I said, it doesn't always start like this, and it probably won't end like this either.
Jumping into a little bit of our process and some of the things that we do in our timeline. So as I mentioned, our high school is 8th through 12th grade, our middle school under the same roof, 4th through 7th. So we do some, we do a few conversations with our middle school students. We participate in open houses, show our logos, and have them we're part of the scavenger hunt for open house, and have them spin a wheel of fun, pick their career, find what career they would have, guess how much the salary would be, a few different sort of activities like that as part of their scavenger hunt that they do during open house, as well as a few other exposures to our Pathways on the middle school side. And then when they transition over into 8th grade, we have them preliminarily select a pathway. So always with the understanding, right, what 8th grader knows what they want to do for the rest of their life. Some of them do, and most of them don't. So they can switch, but what it does is exposes them to the process we're going to put them through their choices of election or electives, through what we call our green sheets, and they choose the electives that they'll participate in. And again, all those pathway logos are they're in our course curriculum. And so students can start making associations between what classes sound interesting to the particular paths that they align with. You'll see a survey on there that we do. So that, again, that's out to all, what would you pick? What would be your first choice? What would be your second choice? And then around mid-year, as well, you know, we have a career fair, of course. And again, all of our in our career fair, all of our vendors that come get a table tent. And if their company or their business that they work for represents one of our pathways, they get a table tent with that logo on it. Again, that visualization. So students are starting to make that connection to that career being in that path. So you see our survey results there, and then we do pathway tracking sheets. So we track the classes that the students are in. We ask them to track themselves. And then really around 10th grade, when the students sort of have been exposed to a few career-oriented career fairs, they've been exposed to immersion field trips in the sort of group that they picked to be in. They've got to make some personal connections with different teachers, which of course, as we know, do help shape our students' futures. They engaged in their classrooms. Now we can sort of start looking at their intention to complete. Their intent to complete. That's like our application for our pathway for our students. And
Erica, I know that we have shared some capstone related forms in the resource guide. I'm guessing that there's going to be a question popping up soon about can folks take a look at your tracking and intent to complete forms? Is that something that you might be able to share?
We can, yeah, we can put some of those links in there. So some of the other links that we'll have in there are, I have it right here just so I can hold it up. We have all of our students who are in an internship, a work study, or a teacher's assistant position entered into a Google Classroom, and our students all have to fill out this capstone expectation sheet. And in that expectation sheet, it asks our students, do we do this in the next slide? I don't want to get ahead of myself. No. We ask our students to make connections in their final presentation for their capstone to our portrait of a graduate, our POG competencies. So some of you may be aware of what portrait of a graduate is, and some of you might have other models of what portrait of a graduate is. But what we ask our students to do is participate in opportunities to practice skills where they can become better communicators, better lifelong learners, communicators, global citizens, responsible people, critical thinkers. And we ask them to make I statements in their experiences, their internships, their work studies. You know, when you're being a communicator, I will communicate with my supervisor directly when I have questions or concerns. Being a global citizen, I will be positive and respectful, even if I do not like a particular task or I do not like a colleague. My goal is to maintain a positive attitude and a respectful demeanor. So when they do those capstone projects, they are making explicit connections to those terms, communicator, global citizen, and how did those students do? How did they practice those in their placements? And we have, you know, student voice and choice as well. We have a group of students who are in what's called SAB, Student and Adult Advisory Board, that one of our college and career team, Keith Wright, oversees with help of several of our educators, Mrs. McGinnis being one of them, and a couple other folks in our school. And those students have an opportunity to create real change in our school. We give them a voice, we give them a chance to say what they like and what they don't like. And before they get to say why they want to change what they don't like, we give them an opportunity to research why that was put in place. For example, yonder pouches, other items like outdoor classrooms, our pathways. And Lindsay, what's another one that they're researching?
Well, one of the things that's really great is for the academic sector of our SOB group, there's several students looking at how to add classes that relate more to their pathway. Like that was one, and they came up with those things. That wasn't, all these things in SOB are very student initiated. And then we support them through the civics process of how to use their voice, propose the change that they want, and do the background knowledge that they need. But interesting enough, there was a group that wanted more pathways classes that relate to what they're interested in. So I think that's kind of cool. We have something called Crew here, which is kind of like a half an hour block a day where students kind of get to let loose a little bit, but still connect with the teacher. And they're looking at how to change some of the crew because there's, you know, always, as always, there's some things that are maybe a little bit more difficult about it. And they just want to, there's another group focusing on senior perks, how to bring certain things back in that may have been lost due to, you know, the accountability in the past. So they're really great. There's a lot of them. There's 50 students and there's 4 of us. It's pretty much actually our CNC team because it's Keith, Kathy Budai, and I, and one more staff members that are really focusing on student voice. But again, this is all so directly related to everything that we're doing. And how to connect that pathways work to this is really,
Yeah.
really
They're
fun.
learning data. So they're looking at data and Yonder Pouches. They found, you know, they looked at pass violations and cell phone violations and all sorts of different things that may have factored into why the school went to switch to Yonder Pouches. And then through that, some of them actually had their perspective changed about why we have these certain things in place or why certain things may have been taken away. And they're going to present to our school committee for policy change. And so we're excited for them to be able to do that. And in one of the things and one of the photos that you see there is we took a group of students off campus, further participation with another local community support through the town of Adams, one of our town schools, and the new Greylock Glen Retreat Center, which is a huge environmental location as well. And gave the kids an opportunity to sort of participate in some leadership skills and outside focus that wasn't leading to distraction if they were to stay here perhaps, but it was a really great trip.
So this is our last slide that you see on the screen for hearing from Erica and I. But again, our contact information is out there. So if you have any additional questions later, please always feel free to reach out and ask. Our big message for lessons learned, though, is kind of a long bulleted list, but I'll get through it pretty quickly. Get students excited early. So Erica mentioned how we are connected literally physically in the building to the middle school. Our middle schoolers actually have electives as well. They're called exploratories, and they're different than a regular high school elective, but all of their exploratories are aligned to our pathways. So we're already trying to make that connection, and also using MyCap in the middle school and the high school. And that career exposure in MyCap, it's not just a career fair. So Erica was mentioning some of the field trips that we do. Our field trip, our immersion trips are based on pathways, and we do those in the 9th grade by pathway. So they're already developing this sense of a cohort, but also these experiences where they're like, oh, maybe this is what I want to do, or maybe this isn't, right? So it's getting them out and doing that. And then, yeah, maybe we don't have 100% buy-in at our school from every single staffer, but keep talking about it. Don't stop talking about it. Talk about it in every class if you can. And I mentioned this early, or individualize it. That certification for the Sawyer training for the tree felling happened because I had a conversation with a student. And it's a really great industry recognized credential, and Gama Logging does this all over the country for foresters, for other schools, for
Firefighters, trade schools.
Yes. So individualize the experience, talk to your students, and figure out how to make that happen for them.
So Lindsay, I'm gonna pause you there, which I hate to do because I know everybody is thinking, wait, there is so much more that we have to learn about what's going on at Hoosick Valley. The good news is, for anybody who's feeling cranky with me right now for hitting the pause button, is that we are in the process of trying to set up an opportunity to do a program spotlight with Hoosick that would be an opportunity to dig more into the kinds of teaching and learning focus areas of their work. So in terms of what's happening inside classrooms, in crew, the work-based learning experiences that are being offered. Whereas today's focus was really more at the level of school and district organization and practices for new designees to think about now. We know that this has also unleashed a whole lot of curiosity about how you've developed your teaching and learning model, the emphasis on student voice and choice and learning beyond the walls of the school. So if you are out there in the audience and you have a question either about the focus today, something you heard that you want to ask about, or something that you really want to hear about in a program spotlight, feel free to pop a question in the chat. We will answer any question that we can right away in our follow-up email tomorrow, or we'll take those ideas and feed them into developing content for a future program spotlight, so that you can learn more about the good work going on at Hoosick Valley High School. Erica and Lindsay, thank you so much for your presentation today. And thank you also to Liz Bennett and Jennifer Gwatkin for their presentation as part of today's webinar. Jennifer's just put the link to our maicp.org website in the chat, and I appreciate that, because one of the things that I was going to spend a little bit of time on was just reminding you that on maicp.org, there are a lot of resources. They're there all summer, even when it's maybe quiet time in your school. You will still find action in the portal. So you can join the community of practice by clicking the link that you see in the upper right-hand corner in the light blue bar on the homepage of our website. I think you're all already on the network mailing list, but if you need to get other folks in your school or partners signed up for our mailing list, they can do that on the website as well. We really want this resource to be a robust, friendly, useful place for the community of practice. And that is why we have sent out a link, and Allison's just put it in the chat, for a survey about this website. It's only about a year old. We relaunched the website, and we really want to hear from you about what you're finding helpful and what you'd like to see different or more of on our website. So thank you in advance for doing that survey. Thank you in advance for the for also an end of year survey, which you will receive in a couple of weeks. We know we ask for a lot of feedback, and we really are committed to using your input to plan the coming year's activities and resources. So thank you for taking the time to do that. If you are ready for more and thinking about entering the application cycle again in the 25-26 year, we have a workshop for you on May 29th for prospective applicants. You can register for that on the events page of maicp.org right now. So click on events and it will take you to the page where you can register for that workshop. Last but not least, there is an event survey for today. And as always with our surveys, these are anonymous. We want your feedback. And then after you've completed the survey, you'll be invited to share your email and be entered in a raffle. This is, I think, this and the website survey are the last surveys of the year that can get you entered into the raffle. We'll do a drawing and announce winners. And of course, all of you have won by being designated. It's an exciting time, and we are here to help. We look forward to continuing to work with you through the launch and implementation phases of your pathways. Thanks so much for being here this afternoon, and have a great rest of your day. Look forward to seeing you again soon.